Hi everybody, my name is Rhys Barber. I'm one of the audiologists here at Audiology Associates.
And my name is Taylor Green and I'm the other audiologist here. So this is my particular patient. There's two patients in this compilation. Now you can see we've got quite a narrow ear canal here.
Ooh,
now this is the
narrow.
standard size on the tube. I wanted to see if we could just get the standard size tube in that little space. The reason we haven't gone straight for the fine end here, the fine end, as you probably know already, is the weaker of the two sections. Yeah. Now, what I could see in regards to the consistency of this, it looks like it's all adhered and kind of stuck to the ear canals. Now the standard tube, the fine end will probably struggle with this particular job. So
you wouldn't get the grip you've got there with a fine end. It would just sort of pull tiny pieces off that, wouldn't it? If anything, really.
And it'll take hours.
Yeah. Yes.
we wouldn't put anybody through that anyway.
Obviously, we want to limit the amount of time we're inside ear canals as well. We don't, if we don't want to spend excessive time in there, if we don't have to.
Because you don't hear it on these videos, but with us using suction, there's a lot of almost like wind noise is the only way I describe it to patients. Well, I personally tend to explain it like you've got your head out of a moving car. There's a lot of wind that you kind of hear. But what we also can get with the standard tube and very narrow ear canals, especially if there's a bit of swelling, sometimes you'll find that as we go in with the suction, as it takes up all the space, it tends to sort of create a bit of a how do I?
It sort of collapses, doesn't it? Around.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it collapses. You get it. Sorry, but
I couldn't think that.
We haven't had our first cup of tea and coffee yet. This is a problem, this morning. You get it sometimes with older patients as well. Yeah. Where obviously the outer part, the pin of this part of the ear here, the auricle, is basically made up of a lot of its cartilage, and it becomes a little bit looser over time, doesn't it? And you tend to find the entrance to the canal will just be a little bit softer and collapse down a little bit more easily, wouldn't it?
And it can be uncomfortable for most patients as well, which is why, we need to obviously be very, very cautious when we're working with very narrow ear canals. Yeah. So it's coming away quite nicely so far. We've got a couple of big pieces away. We've still got the standard size tube here. You can see how narrow this is. Yeah. Now these standard tubes are tiny. I think how wide is the diameter?
I got a funny feeling it's about 1.8 millimeters, I think. So it's very specific for, I think. The number's stuck in my head from somewhere. I think it's roughly about that size, I think.
They're very, very small anyway.
Yeah, tiny.
So we are just trying to get a good suction grip here now on this last piece. And we want to try and hold that grip and slowly bring forward. Because what I'm hoping, if this is stuck in the anterior recess, which is that slight widening near the eardrum, where wax usually gets kind of stuck, as we slowly pull, we do hope that kind of pulls the back section up with it. Now you can see
that's coming away nicely.
Coming away, yeah.
That's always the most difficult bit, isn't it, with narrow canals, when you're pulling towards the entrance, that more lateral end, and it wants to clip it sometimes. That's lovely. Look at that.
Perfect.
That's exactly what you want to see after you've taken the wax out, isn't it? Everything's come down. Especially because when you think about a narrow entrance to the canals, we haven't got much room for the manoeuvre either. We haven't got that sort of left and right, because we have to pivot from the outside part of the ear to get the left and right motion. And if you've got a narrow ear canal, you can't get that pivot. So if you've got something right down the recess, oh my goodness, that is a nightmare. You've got to put so much of a bend on the tube so you could drop in over the top.
And we do see some comments saying, "Wow, why didn't you get the Jobs and Horn in there, or why didn't you get the forceps in there?" You just physically can't. In some occasions, it's physically impossible to. Well, even if you can get it in there, it's physically impossible with the angles you have to work with. Yeah. So it just becomes unsafe.
Yes.
So we obviously have standards we need to stick to.
Yes. You don't really want your patient going out with worse hearing than they came in because you've perforated the eardrum. No. But it's and sometimes you'll get it with the recess as well. We get a lot of comments about why you've left little tiny dots of wax down near the recess. Sometimes it would just be too uncomfortable or just too risky to get down in there safely. And our job is to improve that patient's hearing. If we've taken the block of wax out, we can see the eardrum. That patient's going to hear really, really well. These tiny little dots in there don't matter. They're not going to cause any discomfort to the patient. They're not going to cause any hearing loss. So. No.
So I was like,
sorry, but I talked all the way over your wax over there.
I was watching me like wiggling, just about to come out this, and I think this is actually the whole piece in this side. think this all comes out in one go. You can really see how tight this is.
Yeah, this is where it gets awkward,
yeah.
where it's kind of hanging on at the entrance, isn't it? Yeah. And this, the thing is, we talk about like wiggling and turbo wiggle. If you turbo wiggle this, because that's collapsed on the end, it's just going to shear that front end off, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's very slow movements.
Oh, there we go.
That's good.
Oh, it's quite a
long piece, isn't it?
Quite a big piece, actually. Yeah, it's quite a big piece to come out there.
Chunky, I think I would call it.
Chunky,
Chunky, that's a chunky piece.
Good word, that is. Excellent, there we go. So yeah, patient hearing so much better. And I'm obviously going to hand you over to Rhys now.
That's a good one.
Oh, before we do that.
Yes.
Do you want me to do inches? Or
yeah, you definitely do the inches.
1 3/4 by the looks of it. 1 3/4 inches.
4.5 centimeters, that one.
Excellent.
Yeah, I was cursing you the other day because I was doing inches and I just couldn't get it at all again. I just can't do it. Oh, did you? Taylor does watch the videos, right? Every day sees you as well.
I'm also a fan.
So this is my patient, this one. Now, the first thing I noticed when we looked in the ear canal, you could see it wasn't fully occluded. So basically, the wax had come off the one side of the canal and hadn't quite touched the other side. So we had this big gap. But what the patient was experiencing was when they were going to bed at night, they wake up in the morning feeling really blocked up for a couple of hours, and then suddenly they said their hearing would pop and everything would go back to normal. Basically, the wax was sticking to the opposing canal wall during the night, and then with jaw movement, it slowly works its way open and pops itself open. So patient was finding this was the more problematic of the two ears. They were finding they were having far more issues with this side than the other side. But when you see the other side, you'll see there's loads more wax in the other ear. So you can see quite a narrowish entrance there, but lovely and clear, eardrum looking good. So this is what I could see on the other side. Patient not really having any difficulties with this one. But we've got this really narrow cheese wedge at the front end. This sort of...
Someone spoiled cheese for me now.
So I've done toffee, fig Newtons, and everything this week. So you've got this really kind of narrow entrance to the canal, almost like a door wedge then. How about that? There you go.
Oh,
so
door wedge, that's
tapered, nobody eats door wedges. So it's a tapered edge to it, which makes it difficult because you can't get the suction grip then, can you?
No.
And it's really soft. So I thought, forceps, we'll go in, grab with the forceps. But as soon as the forceps gripped it, it was really, really soft again. So I'm having to resort to the Jobson horn here.
And and a lot of other audiologists will find the same thing that do wax removals, but it's a good one.
That's a stretchy one. Look at that one coming out. And this is the one the patient didn't have any trouble with. But you can see crashed into the camera. There's a huge amount there.
And yeah, what I was going to say is you'll obviously have a lot of different consistencies with wax. Now, in most cases, it's usually either hard or soft. And we do find with a lot of people, some people do come in with hard wax on one side and soft on the other, and generally hearing better with the harder wax.
Yeah.
As you may or may not know, sound is a vibration. So generally I tend to find that the harder wax, people do tend to hear better through harder wax because it's still kind of transferring most of that sort of vibration to the ear. So
and you're more likely to get those little gaps as well, aren't you? With it. If you've got a big chunky piece of wax in there and it's dry and it's hardened up, you're more likely to get maybe a tiny little gap somewhere in there to allow the sound through. But then when you've got soft wax, it tends to stick all the way around the canal wall, so forms a perfect plug then, doesn't
it?
It
just absorbs everything.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it does. It does. So it was 1.25 inches, just over 3 centimeters.
Yeah, I nailed both.
It's because you were told I thought I'd best do it just in case. Sometimes it disappears off the screen. Well, yes, thank you very much for watching. Taylor, we didn't do the subscribe.
Oh, we didn't do it.
We didn't do a subscribe.
Well, if you do like the video, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you are watching on TikTok, don't forget we've got a YouTube channel where you can see these videos in full length.
Full length. Widescreen indeed.
Full length HD.
See, there is a reason we leave the subscribe to the end of the video, because we think if you've made it all the way through the video, you obviously really enjoyed it. So you're more likely to want to subscribe. That's the reason we do it at the end, Taylor. That's exactly the reason. Well, as always, guys, take care of yourselves.
Take care of your ears.
And take care of one another, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.